Welcome to Heart Over Gold, the channel where love, kindness, and humanity shine brighter than any fortune. In today's story, Maeve Carter gave up a life of unimaginable luxury for the man she loved, Daniel Cross. For 7 years, she lived quietly, hiding the truth that she was one of the richest women in the world. Now, fate will bring them face to face again, and Daniel is about to uncover the secret Maeve has guarded all this time. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments, and keep up with our latest stories. What if the quiet, gentle woman who stood by your side through every storm, the woman who gave up her dreams, her comfort, and even her own happiness just to see you succeed, turned out to be one of the wealthiest people in the entire world? For 7 long years, Maeve had lived in silence, hiding her truth from everyone, including the man she once loved with all her heart. She blended into the background, never drawing attention, working tirelessly without complaint. Most people saw her as ordinary, almost invisible, but behind that calm smile and humble nature was a secret so powerful it could change everything. She had walked away from luxury, choosing instead a simple life that kept her close to the people she cared about. No one, not even her closest friends, knew about the fortune she controlled or the empire she quietly managed from the shadows. Maeve never needed recognition, and she certainly never wanted to boast. All she ever wanted was love, loyalty, and peace. But fate has a way of pulling the past into the present, and soon, the man who had once broken her heart would find himself standing face to face with her and with the truth she had guarded for so many years. Her mother had been strange since that night she came home from the cafe with red eyes and trembling hands. "That melody is beautiful," a male voice commented behind her. Anna started and turned on. Stool, an elegant man in his 40s, watched her from the entrance of the music room. He wasn't her usual teacher. "Thank you," she murmured, instinctively. The sheet music she had been writing. "I'm Ethan Hayes," he introduced himself with a warm smile. "I'm the sponsor of this competition, and you must be Anna Dawson." The name Hayes made something stir in her stomach, though she didn't know why. It was as if she had heard that name before in whispers or interrupted own Vincians. "Is that your own composition?" Ethan asked, approaching the piano. Anna nodded. Ethan sat on a nearby chair with an expression that mixed curiosity and something deeper. "Could you play it again, please?" Anna's fingers danced over Thekis. Again, the melody she had been creating for months flowed neat and hopeful at the same time. She didn't know why, but whenever she played it, she felt as if she was telling a story she didn't fully know. When she finished, she turned to find Ethan completely still, his face pale and high-size watery. "Are you all right?" Anna asked, concerned. Ethan took a few seconds to reply, as if returning from a very distant place. "That melody," he murmured. "Where did you hear it?" "I didn't hear it anywhere. I composed the impossible," he whispered, standing abruptly. "I know that melody. Someone sang it to my ears ago." Anna frowned, confused. Ethan approached the piano and pressed some keys, reproducing exactly the sequence she had been playing. "How do you know my composition?" she asked in a thin voice. Ethan stared at her as if seeing her for the first time. He studied her features, the shape of her hands, the color of her eyes. "My God," he whispered, "what is your mother's full name?" "Lord Dawson," Anna replied, increasingly nervous. "Why do you know her?" But Ethan, no longer listening to her, he had taken out his phone and was dialing a number with trembling hands. "Sebastian, I need to see you right now," he said when he picked up at the conservatory. It's about her." Meanwhile, in the small apartment with Anna, she was trying to concentrate on preparing dinner when decisive knocks echoed on the door. Her heart immediately raced. There was only one person who would knock like that. She opened the door to find Sebastian soaked from the rain that had begun to fall that afternoon. He carried a bouquet of white lies. "May I come in?" He asked without the arrogance she remembered from his youth. Lauren hesitated, but the water dripping from his coat and the vulnerable expression in his eyes moved. "Anna's not here," she said, stepping aside. "She's at conservatory rehearsals." "I know," he murmured, entering and placing the bouquet on the small table in the hallway. "That's why I came in." Lauren closed the door and leaned against it, watching him take off his coat. The apartment was modest, a small kitchen, a worn sofa, some photos of Anya on the walls, nothing like the opulence he was used to. "What do you want, Sebastian?" He turned to look at her, and in his green eyes there was a determination she hadn't seen since they were young. "I want to meet her," he simply said. "She's not." "Stop lying," he interrupted her, but his voice was soft, almost pleading. "We both know the truth." Lauren walked towards the kitchen, needing distance. Sebastian followed her, and the small space suddenly seemed even more intimate with his presence. "Do you have any idea what it's like to raise a daughter alone?" she asked, stirring the soup on the stove more forcefully than necessary. Do you know what it's like to work 12 hours a day just to pay for piano lessons to pretend it doesn't hurt when she asks about her father? Sebastian approached from behind but maintained his distance. No, I don't know, he admitted. But I want to learn. I want to make up for all those lost years. You can't make up for 15 years with flowers and good intentions. She returning to face him. Then tell me what I can do, he said, and his voice broke slightly. Tell me how I can fix this. Lauren stared at him, looking for signs of the selfish young man she had known. But the man before her seemed genuinely lubricant. You can't, she whispered. Some things can't be fixed. Sebastian took a step towards her, and then another, until they were so close she could see the small wrinkles around his eyes. Let me try, he murmured, raising a hand to touch her face. Lauren should have pulled away. She should have maintained the barriers she had so carefully built, but when his fingers brushed her cheek, all her defenses crumbled. Lauren, I've missed you, he whispered, caressing her cheekbone with his thumb. Every day for 15 years. Lauren's eyes filled with tears she had been holding back for too long. You hurt me so much, she murmured. I know, he said, leaning in until their foreheads touched, and I hate myself for it. The distance between their lips narrowed to millimeters. Lauren could feel his breath, warm and familiar. The outside world disappeared. The rain against the windows, bubbling of the soup, the ticking of the kitchen clock when he kissed her. Different from the desperate kiss at the cafe, this one was slow, painful, laden with everything they had lost and what they might perhaps recover. Lauren found herself melting against him, her hands clutching his shirt as if it were a lifeline, but then, like a bucket of cold water, reality hit her. She pulled away sharply, wiping her lips with the back of her hand. No, she cried, you can't just show up after 15 years and pretend nothing happened. Sebastian staggered back, breathing raggedly. Lord, you left him alone at that station, she snapped, trembling with rage and repressed desire. You left me alone with your daughter, and now you come here, to my place, to my life, and you pretend everything can go back to how it was. I'm not pretending that, he retorted, running a hand through his wet hair. I just want a chance. A chance to be the father I should have been, to be the man I should have been for you. Lauren walked towards the door and threw it open. The rain was still falling heavily. She whispered. Sebastian looked at her for a long moment, as if wanting to imprint her image on his memory. Then he nodded slowly and headed for the exit, but before crossing the threshold he stopped. I'll be back, he said without turning. With or without your permission, Lauren. I'll be back until you listen to him, until you forgive me, until you let me be a part of your lives. And Hetty separated into the rainy night, leaving her trembling in the doorway with his stay still on her lips and her heart broken into 1,000 pieces. Again, Ethan hadn't been able to sleep all night. Anna's melody resonated in his shed like an echo from the past that refused to disappear. He got up before dawn and drove to the place he had been avoiding for years. The London Bridge. The morning mist rose from the Thames as he leaned against Thurling, in the same spot where, 15 years ago, he had been about to jump. He closed his eyes and let himself be carried away by the memory that Anna's music had unearthed. December 2009, 6 months after Sebastian mysteriously disappeared from their lives. Ethan was 22 and had just lost everything. In a bad investment, the family business had gone bankrupt because of him. His father wouldn't speak to him. Sebastian was at a boarding school in Switzerland, and he saw no way out. He went up to Thaybridge with a bottle of whiskey and a decision made, but then, just as he had put one foot on the railing, he heard a voice. Are you going to jump? He turned to find a young woman, pregnant, looking at him with serene but firm eyes. She wore an oversized coat and seemed as lost as he was. None of your business, Ethan muttered. You're right, she said, approaching, but my baby is kicking a lot, and I don't think he likes seeing you up there. The girl sat on a near bench and began to hum a soft, melancholic melody. Something in that music inexplicably calmed him. What's that song called? He asked, getting off trailing. It doesn't have a name, she replied, stroking her belly. I made it up for my daughter. Ethan sat beside her, and for the next 2 hours that unknown girl spoke to him of hope, of second chances, of what it meant to bring life into the world. She never asked his name, and he never asked why she wanted to die. When dawn broke, she stood to leave. Wait, he said, how can I thank you? She smiled sadly. Take care of your brother, she said. When he comes back, he's going to need you. And she walked away, humming the same melody that Anna now played on the piano. The sound of his phone brought him back to the present. It was Sebastian. Where are you? His brother asked. We need to talk at London Bridge, Ethan replied. Come here, there's something you need to know. Half an hour later, Sebastian arrived, running his head, a disheveled and a worried expression. What's wrong? Are you all right? Ethan turned to look at him, and Sebastian was surprised to see tears in his older brother's eyes. She saved my life, Ethan whispered. Lawrence saved my life. And I didn't even know who she was. He told him everything. The bridge, the pregnant Girl, the melody. Sebastian listened in silence, his face growing paler and paler. It was Anna. Sebastian murmured when Ethan finished. Anna is that baby who was in her womb, and the melody Anna composed is same one Lauren sang to me that night. Ethan said, his voice breaking, as if she had inherited not only your genes but also her mother's memories. Sebastian leaned against the railing, overwhelmed. All this time she had been suffering, Galen pregnant, scared, and yet she had the strength to save a stranger. What are you going to do? Ethan asked. I don't know. Sebastian admitted. Yesterday she confessed that Anna is my daughter, but I don't know if she can ever forgive me. Ethan put a hand on his brother's shoulder. Then let me help them sponsor Anna's competition. Give her the opportunity she deserves. It's the least I can do after what her mother did for me that afternoon at the conservatory. Anna was practicing for Thephanol presentation when she heard raised voices in the hallway. She crept silent and light over the ajar door. She has to know. Ethan's voice said she has a right to know her father. You can't make that decision for me, her mother's voice replied, tense and emotional. And mine too. Interrupted a third voice Anna didn't recognize but which sent a strange shiver down her spine. She's my daughter Lauren. Anna froze. Her father was that unknown man her father. Sebastian, please, her mother pleaded. I've lost 14 years off her life. The male voice continued, I'm not going to lose another day. Anna slowly pushed the door open and the three adults turned to her. Her mother pulled. Ethan looked at her with compassion. The tall man with green eyes, her father, watched her as if she were a miracle. Is it true? Anna asked in a trembling voice. Are you my father? Sebastian took a step towards her but stopped when he saw Anna instinctively recoil. Yes, he said, tears streaming down his cheeks. Why did you lie to me? She asked, her voice laden with pain. All these years, asking you about him, and you knew exactly where he was. Anna, darling, it's complicated. Don't tell me it's complicated, Anna shouted. You've lied to him my whole life. She turned to Sebastian, studying his features. Now she could see the similarities, the eyes, the shape of his hands, even the way he frowned when he concentrated. And you? She asked, why didn't you come looking for me? Sebastian approached cautiously, as if drawing near a wounded animal. Because I didn't know you existed. He confessed, when your mother and I broke up I was 17, my family forced us apart. I never knew she was pregnant. Anna slowly pressed the information. She looked at Ethan, who had remained silent. And were you in all this? I'm your father's brother. Ethan replied softly, and Simone, who owes your mother a great deal. Anna felt the world sway beneath her feet. Her whole life had been a lie. Her mother was not the strong, independent woman she believed, but someone who had kept secrets for years. Her father was not a romantic mystery, but a flesh and blood man, who was there looking at her with eyes that were exactly like her own. I need some air, she murmured, heading for the exit. Anna, wait. Lauren called, but Anna had already run out into the hallway. That night, alone in her room, Anna sat at the small keyboard. Her mother had brought her with such effort. Her fingers found thekis, and she began to play the melody she had been composing, but this time she modified it. She added sharper, more intense notes. It was the same song, but no. It spoke of discovery, of pain, of the complexity of hidden truths. When she finished, she had made a decision. She stood up and went to the desk where she had her composition pictures. She picked up a pen and changed the title of her composition. It would no longer be called Hope. Now it would be called The Painful Truth, because the next day on the conservatory stage she was going to play that piece in front of everyone, in front of her mother, in front of the father she had just met, in front of the uncle she didn't know she had, and in the end, when the applause ceased, she would tell them exactly what she thought of their lies, their secrets, and their good intentions. She was no longer a child who could be protected from the truth. It was time for everyone to understand. The conservatory auditorium was completely full. The lights gradually dimmed as Anna adjusted the height of the piano stool, her hands trembling slightly. From the audience, she could see her mother in the front row, her eyes red from crying all night. Sebastian sat 3 seats away, tense as a violin string about to snap. Ethan stood by the side curtains, watching her with a mix of pride and concern. Anna took a deep breath and approached the microphone that had been placed next to the piano. This piece is called The Pain, her clear voice announced, resonating throughout the auditorium. I composed it thinking about the secrets people keep to protect those they love, and how those same secrets can hurt more than the truth. She paused, deliberately, her eyes meeting Lawrence. This song is for the woman who taught me that strength is not imperfection, Bhutan moving forward despite the pain, and for the man who I didn't know existed but who is here now. A murmur rippled through the audience. Sebastian sat up in his seat, his eyes shining. Anna turned to the piano and placed her fingers on thekis. The first note emerged clean and crystalline, filling the exponentialance. The melody began softly, almost timidly, like a whisper of confession. But it gradually grew, becoming More complex, more intense. Lauren closed her eyes, as I recognized the bass of the song she used to sing to her when she was pregnant. But Anna had transformed it completely. Now it spoke of discovery, of pain, but also of hope. It was as if her had taken all the emotions of the past few weeks and poured them onto those keys. Sebastian couldn't take his eyes off Anna. Every gesture, every movement of her hands on the piano reminded him of Lauren when she was young, but he also saw something of himself in the intensity with which she surrendered to the music. It was like seeing his own passion reflected in another person. The melody reached an emotional crescendo, and Anna added a variation she had never played before. The notes soared like liberated birds, powerful and free. Some people in the audience had begun to cry. When the last note faded into the air, the silence extended for several seconds. Then the auditorium erupted in applause. People stood up, including the jury, but Anna didn't smile. She slowly rose from the stool and approached the microphone again. "I want to say something else," she announced, and the applause gradually ceased. 2 days ago, I discovered that my whole life had been built on a lie. Told me my father had died when in reality he was alive and didn't know I existed. A tense silence filled the auditorium. Lauren had turned pale, and Sebastian had his fists clenched on his knees. "I was furious," Anna continued. "I felt betrayed, but as I composed this variation last night, I understood something. My mother didn't lie to me out of cruelty. She lied because she was afraid that I would feel the pain she had felt, afraid that he wouldn't love me, afraid of not being enough for me." Tears began to roll down Anna's cheeks, but her voice remained firm. "And my father was just a boy when it all happened. He didn't have the chance to choose, but he's here now, and that's what matters." She walked directly to where Sebastian was, who had risen from his seat, as if in a trance. "This melody speaks of second chances," Anna said now in front of him. "That it's never too late to start over, to get to know each other, to be a family." Sebastian could no longer restrain himself. He approached Anna and hugged her, a clumsy hug at first, then desperate. Anna clung to him, and for the first time in her life she felt what it was like to have a father. "I'm sorry," Sebastian whispered against her hair. "I'm so sorry I wasn't here." "You're here now," Anna replied, her voice muffled against his chest. "That's what counts." Lauren had approached them, and when Anna saw her, she extended Anna to include her in the hug. The three stood like that, embracing on stage. While the audience continued to applaud, and some cried openly when they finally separated. Ethan had also approached. Anna looked at him curiously. "You saved Mimitha once," she said. "She told me the story when we got home last night, how you helped her when she was pregnant and alone." Ethan shook his head, smiling through his tears. "No, little one, she saved me. Your mother gave me reasons to keep living when I had lost all hope." Anna smiled for the first time in days and hugged her newly discovered uncle. "Then we're a family of people who save each other," she said. The event ended an hour later, but the family stayed at the conservatory until all the guests left. Finally, Sebastian approached Lauren, who was gathering Anna's sheet music. "Can we talk?" he asked softly. "Alone?" Lauren nodded and followed Sebastian to a small rehearsal room down the hall. Anna and Ethan stayed behind, giving them space. Once alone, Sebastian closed the door and turned to her. Lauren was facing away, nervously organizing the sheet music. "Lauren, don't say anything," she murmured without turning. "Please, these past few days have been too intense." Sebastian slowly approached and placed his hands on her shoulders. He felt her tense under his touch. "I have to say it," he whispered. "All this time, I thought I had lost you forever. I thought what we had was just a youthful fantasy." Lauren turned in his arms and he could see fresh tears in her eyes. "And what do you think now?" Sebastian raised his hands to frame her face, his thumbs caressing her damp cheeks. "Now I think you are the most extraordinary woman I have ever met. You raised our daughter alone. You married her, that incredible person we just saw on stage. You saved my brother when he wasn't there to do it, and yet after everything I put you through, you gave me a second chance." "Sebastian, I love you," he said, interrupting her. "I've loved you since I was 17, and I will love you until day I die." Lauren closed her eyes as if the words physically pained her. "You can't say those things." "Why not?" "Because you make me believe in impossible things," she whispered. "You make me believe that we could be a real family." Sebastian leaned in until their foreheads touched. "They're not impossible," he murmured. "We're here, all three of us. After 15 years of separation, we're here." The distance between their lips narrowed until it almost disappeared. Lauren could feel his breath, warm and familiar. "I'm scared," she confessed. "Me too," he admitted, "but I don't want to live without you both anymore." This time when he kissed her, there was no desperation or anger. It was a slow, deep kiss laden with promises and new beginnings. Lauren melted against him. Her hands clung to his shirt as he kissed her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. When they separate, both had tears in their eyes. "What do we do now?" Lauren asked. Sebastian smiled, that smile that had made the teenager she had been fall in love. Now we start over, he said. The three of us, as it should be. He hugged her tightly, burying his face in her neck where her perfume was still exactly the same as he remembered. I love you, he whispered against her skin. You and Anna, you Eremi family, my only family. That matters. Lauren pulled away enough to look him in his eyes. I love you too, she finally confessed. I never stopped loving you no matter how hard I tried. They kissed again, this time with this certainty that despite all the lost years, despite the pain and misunderstandings, had found their way back to love. When they left the rehearsal room holding hands, they found Anna and Ethan waiting in the hallway. Anna looked at them with a mischievous smile. Are you done kissing? She asked. Because I'm hungry and I want my new family to buy him dinner. The four burst out laughing, and for the first time in 15 years, Sebastian felt he was exactly where he should be with his daughter, with the woman he loved. Minhome 6 months later. The aroma of freshly ground coffee mingled with the sweet scent of wildflowers growing around the small terrace. Lauren smiled as she wiped down the tables of her new cafe in Ambleside, Asmoretown in the Lake District. They had chosen together to start a new hope. Cafe is exactly what she had dreamed of, intimate, cozy, with views of the English mountains and enough space for Anna to practice piano in the afternoons. The doorbell chimed softly. Lauren looked up and her heart raced as always when she saw him arrive. Sebastian entered with a tired buccaneering smile, carrying a bouquet of wild daisies he had picked during his morning walk through the mountains. His hair was slightly disheveled by the wind and he wore that light blue shirt he liked so much. Good morning, beautiful, he murmured, approaching to give her a soft kiss on the lips. How did the owner of the best cafe in Cumbria sleep? Very well, thanks to a certain man who insisted on giving me a foot massage last night, she replied, laughing as she accepted the flowers. Sebastian had developed the habit of staying overnight in the small apartment above the cafe 3 or 4 nights a week. At first Anna had set strict rules about public displays of affection, but little by little she had gotten used to having her around. She had even started calling him Dad naturally. Where's our artist? Sebastian asked, glancing around. In London with Ethan today. Is the meeting with the representatives of the Royal Academy of Music in Paris. If all goes well, she'll have a full scholarship to study there next year. Sebastian nodded, proud but with a touch of melancholy in his eyes. Seeing Anna grow up so fast, knowing that she would soon fly on her own, gave him mixed feelings. I'm nervous for her, he admitted. Ichno, Lauren said, caressing his cheek, but she's intelligent and strong. She'll fine. Sebastian took her hands in his, observing the small promise ring he had given her the previous month. It wasn't a traditional engagement ring. Had decided to take things slowly, but it was his way of telling her he had no intention of leaving. Do you know what day it is today? He asked with that mischievous smile she knew so well. Lauren frowned, thinking Wednesday the 15th of Oh. Eyes lit up. It's exactly 1 year since you walked into my cafe in Manchester, a year since my life completely changed, he murmured, moving closer. Do you have time for a break? Lauren looked around the cafe. There were only 2 customers, an elderly couple reading in a corner and a young man working on his laptop. The afternoon was perfect and silent. I think I can take a few minutes, she replied. Sebastian smiled and walked towards the old record player they had installed in a corner of the cafe. He put on a French music vinyl that Lauren adored and extended his hand to her. May I have this dance, madam? Lauren took off her apron and accepted his hand. Sebastian pulled her close and they began to move slowly to the rhythm of the soft music. It wasn't really dancing. Rather, they swayed together between the cafe tables, but to Lauren, it seemed perfect. Remember when we used to hide in your house's kitchen to dance? She whispered against his ear. He murmured, his voice husky. You were 18 and the most beautiful thing I had ever seen, and now. Sebastian pulled away enough to look her in the eyes. Now you're even more beautiful. You have laugh lines that tell stories. You have strength in your gaze that comes from serving difficult things. You have wisdom that is only gained with years. Lauren felt her eyes fill with tears. Before you used to burn me with your intensity, she said. It was like being near fire, exciting but dangerous, and now you complete me, she whispered. You're like coming home after a very long journey. They kissed softly, unhurriedly, oblivious to the outside world. The elderly couple watched them with knowing smiles, and the young man with the laptop looked up for only a moment before returning to his work. When they separated, Sebastian kept their foreheads together. I've been thinking about something, he said. What? That may be. It's time to make this official. Lauren tensed slightly in his arms. Sebastian, not talking about marriage yet, he quickly clarified. I'm talking about living together truly every day, waking up with you every morning, and going to bed with you every night. Lauren slowly processed his words. They had talked about this before, but there was always something that stopped them. past fierce need to go slowly for Anna, the uncertainty of whether they could truly work as a couple after so many years. Are you sure? She asked. Living with me means dealing with my quirks, with my difficult days, with my insecurities about the future. It means dealing with all your aspects, he interrupted her, the beautiful and the difficult. And you would have to deal with mine, with my tendency to be overprotective, with my way of organizing everything, with my occasional nightmares about losing you again. Lauren smiled, touching his cheek. I think I can handle that. It's a yes, it's a yes. Sebastian lifted her off the ground and spun her around, making her laugh heartily. When he put her down, he kissed her again, this time with more passion. The doorbell interrupted them, Anna bursting like a hurricane with Ethan behind her smiling broadly. Mum. Dad, I got it, Anna shouted, waving some papers in the air. I have a full scholarship to Paris. Sebastian and Lauren ran to her, wrapping her in a family hug. Ethan also approached, clearly proud of his niece. Tell us everything, Lauren said, tears of joy in her eyes. Anna recounted the details of the audition and interviews. Sebastian watched his family. His brother, who had found purpose helping young musicians through his foundation, his daughter, brilliant and talented, ready to conquer the world, and Lauren, the woman who had been his first love and who was now his eternal love. That night, after Anna went to bed and after celebrating with a special dinner, Sebastian and Lauren sat on the small terrace of the appartamento. Mountain air was fresh and clean, and the stars shone with an impossible clarity compared to the city. Do you know what Anna told me today? Lauren asked, leaning against Sebastian's shoulder. That she's going to write a letter, a kind of family memoir. She says she wants to document our story for future generations. Sebastian smiled, imagining Anna writing about her family experiences. And what is she going to write about? Soren looked up at him. She says she's going to write about how true love can survive anything, about how people can break but never completely shatter, about how sometimes the most beautiful endings take longer to arrive. They fell silent for a moment, absorbing the tranquility. The night. Are you scared? Sebastian asked. That Anna will go to Paris, that we'll move in together, of all this terribly. Lauren admitted, but I'm no longer afraid of having you by my side as I face those fears. Sebastian kissed her forehead. Me neither. You know what I believe. I believe Anna was right about what she was going to write. We are not people who broke, we are people who learn to bloom even after the storm. Sebastian intertwined his fingers with hers like the wild flowers that grow in the mountains, he said. They can bend with the wind, but their roots are too deep to break. They kissed under the stars, a silent deep kiss that tasted of new beginnings and fulfilled promises. In the distance, the soft sound of the wind through the trees seemed to play a melody that only they could hear. A melody that spoke of love found lost and regained, of family forgiveness and second chances, of flowers that would never break no matter how hard the wind blew. And as the night enveloped them in its warm embrace, Sebastian and Lauren knew that finally they were home.